Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel, to our coffee times together. And today we're here to discuss what were for me the worst movies of 2019.
It's coffee time.
Now, I did not go to the theater as much as I wanted in 2019, so this list is gonna be kind of short. Also because when I did go to the theater, I picked the ones that I thought I was gonna love. So most of the movies that I watched in the theater I actually enjoyed. So I'm here to talk to you though about the ones that I did not really like as much as I wanted. Yeah, so this list is gonna be a little bit shorter than my favorites list, which means that I'm good at picking up what I gotta watch, I guess. But in 2020 I want to go more to the cinema and bring you more reviews, and probably then it will be a little bit harder for me to decide on my favorites and worst movies of 2020. But yeah, one of my missions is just to watch more new releases in 2020. So let's kickstart this list. First of all, let's start with Annabelle Comes Home. This is the third installment in the spin-off series that were based on the Conjuring universe. So in the Conjuring, we got to know Annabelle, this doll that is a vessel for some evil spirits. And the first Annabelle movie still remains as my favorite movie. The second one was pretty good, and the third one, just know, it was boring. Nothing happened. There was no plot whatsoever. And not even, the acting could save it. Like, it's not like the actors were bad or anything, but honestly, nothing happened in this movie, and it was so frustrating to me. I was there watching it and just like, can this please be over? So unfortunately, Annabelle Comes Home was not what I expected. There are other movies like this one that have maybe a lower budget, and you can tell from this movie because the majority of the movie is just shot in the same house. However, you can utilize this house in so many ways to keep it interesting with different angles, different scares. But this movie was not scary, was not original, it was boring, dragging, and it just did not work. There are other movies that are based in one house that are way more interesting than this one. And it was just so bland. I was really disappointed. Let's talk about one that I'm really bitter about, and that is Pet Sematary. So they did a reboot of the story. It's based on a novel by Stephen King, and I was so excited and so pumped about it. I was a huge fan of the book, which was one of the first novels that I read by Stephen King, and I really loved the movie adaptation. And Pet Sematary 2, it's questionable. It was just kind of like a guilty pleasure movie, if you wish to call it like that. It was not a good movie, but it's kind of fun. And I was like, okay, a reboot might not be that bad. After It Chapter 1, I had high expectations for another Stephen King reboot, but this was not good. When the movie started, it looked good. It was going good, and then something happened, and I started to think that we were not going in a good direction, and the ending was a mess. It was bad. It was really bad. So yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest disappointments for me for 2019. The novel was not so much about horror, but more about grief and drama and the exploration of a family, and it was fantastic. And the first adaptation that they did was also great. I love it. But this movie just felt unnecessary. I thought it was going to be original by the trailer, but it wasn't. It changed some things that were not necessary to be changed, and they, I guess, wanted to be cool and make a cool ending or whatever, but it was a flop. Next we have a Netflix exclusive, and this is Murder Mystery. I wanted to watch this movie. I was excited because I thought it was going to be a kind of like a comedy take on stories like Murder, She Wrote or things like that, you know, Agatha Christie kind of vibe. And it stars Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, and I don't know, I thought it was going to be, you know, a crime investigation with some comedy. It is about this couple that go on a trip, and they meet on in the plane this rich guy, and he invites them to his yacht, and they go there, meet the family, and there is a murder that is committed, and then everybody is basically a suspect, and they're trying to figure out who killed this person. And it was just so bad. It was bad. I feel bad for Jennifer Aniston. I mean, Adam Sandler has had other flops in the past. Jennifer Aniston, not so many, but this is definitely a flop. It was poorly executed, it was boring, redundant, the comedy did not come through well, and it was just a mess. Let's talk very briefly about Hellboy. This was a try to create a new trilogy, and it was seen as a reboot of the story after they made the horrible decision of not allowing Guillermo del Toro to make part 3 as he had already envisioned it with Ron Perlman. So they decided to do something different and call it R-rated and be super duper cool about it, and they ended up having a movie with not much of a plot, with a very generic villain, and it was not shot that well. The CGI was cool in some parts, other parts no, and it just failed miserably. And was this movie necessary? Nope. Listen, I love David Harbour, and I think it's the only one that was actually trying, but the dialogues were bad and everything was bad. No. And so yeah, I'm kind of glad that it flopped so bad, because I don't think they're gonna move forward with the trilogy idea that they had in their heads after this disaster, and seeing how people just not love it. And I don't know if they will go back to Guillermo, but I would still definitely love to see part 3, even though I know Selma Blair is right now having her own health battle, and I don't know if she would be ready to come back to play Lee Sherman. But you know, it's probably gonna be an unfulfilled dream of mine to see the third conclusion movie to the trilogy that Guillermo had envisioned, because he already had a plan for it, and I think that's one of the most disappointing things, is that we will never get to see that. But even if you see this new reboot ignoring the Guillermo del Toro movies, it was still bad. Next we have The Hunting of Sharon Tate. In this movie we see Hilary Duff as she portrays Sharon Tate. We all know this is based on the Manson family murders, and I hated this movie because it is 100% exploiting the morbid assassination of these people, and it is just looking to make money out of it, and it's been disrespectful. And they tried to be original and added some kind of supernatural touches to the movie, which were horrible, and everything was horrible about this movie. And the director, I believe, is now adapting another true crime story. But this movie was bad, and they also kind of threw in the movie some snippets of the real Manson family and Sharon Tate. We don't know why, it makes no sense. It was just a big pile of poop. Next we have Rambo Last Blood, the 5th installment on this movie series. And as much as I love to see Stallone retake this role, I think this movie, even though the plot was nothing new or exciting, it was alright, but the point of this character being so vengeful and so kind of violent and everything being so gory didn't make much sense. Like, for me, I don't associate this to the character. I just don't think it fits the character. I don't think that's the Rambo that, you know, we knew from the first movies, and it makes it harder for you to relate and to kind of, you know, be on his side. And I just think they tried, but I know a lot of people loved it for the nostalgia and things, you know, that reminded them of the first movies. But for me, it was just a poorly executed movie. Next, we have Serenity, a movie that not a lot of people know about, and it stars Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. And you expect to have a good movie, a good thriller, but this ended up being a mix of romance, thriller, and sci-fi. Everything super messy, nothing made sense, and the editing of the movie was horrible. The cuts that they were doing didn't make sense. You were all the time wondering what the F was happening, and it was just so messy that I'm surprised that, you know, these good actors were in this movie and they did not question this poorly written script that they got. So basically just skip this movie. The next mention here is actually Cats, a movie that everybody hated. I'm not gonna really explain too much about it because this movie has no plot. It's just a compilation of music performances and very bad CG. So there you go. And the last one I would like to mention is Countdown. This belongs to the horror movies that are trying to use technology for, you know, horror purposes. And this is about a nurse that downloads this app that it's called Countdown. And it's basically gonna tell you when you're gonna die. And this was horrible. Another one that has horrible script. And it kind of is trying to steal too much from Final Destination in a way. And it was just bad. Like, it was really bad. They tried sometimes to bring some comedy into it and it failed miserably. So you can also definitely skip this one. So these were the worst movies, the worst 2019 releases, the movies that I enjoyed the least from the ones that I watched that came out in 2019. Let me know down below which are your top 5 worst movies of 2019. And before you leave, please remember to give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber yet, and hit the notification bell as well. If you want to follow me on the social media, I do have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links to those can be found in the description box down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!